On the 8th of the 8th, 88, at the age of 16, I walked into a travel agency for the very first time. Who would have known that 35 years later, I would be doing my dream job as a cruise blogger with my own YouTube channel. How did I get here? This is my story.
Pack my things up, carefree, adventurous way, and I'm heading out to see the rest of the world. Yeah, yeah.
So my first job was at Lee Travel. Now Lee Travel was an independent company, but I was 16 years old and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. So a friend of mine, Leah, she said she was going to get a job in a travel agency. And I didn't know what to do. So I thought, do you know what, that sounds like a good job. So I ended up walking into Lee Travel in Hindley on the 8th of the 8th, 88. Now, back when I was 16, I was really quite timid and shy. I was so scared walking through those doors. But I did, to a room filled with smoke. Who would have thought travel in the 80s where the manager was smoking, Dave the owner was there, he was smoking, the customer was, ashtrays were filled with cigarette ends, and that's how it was in the 80s. So I literally spent the first 6 months or longer just stamping brochures and doing some filing. And I guess with any job, you've got to start at the bottom. It was a government scheme, YTS, £29.50 a week for the first year, woohoo! And then for the second year, it went up to £35 a week. I felt like I'd never been so rich, but it was really good experience, and I had to do the 2 years to become a qualified travel agent. So it was, for the first 2 years, it was mainly stamping brochures, filing, making tea, and just learning the basics. And that was 2 years, and then fully qualified as a travel agent, and that was my first job. So I left Lee Travel at the age of 18 and I got a job with A.T. Mays in Atherton full-time as a qualified travel agent, which was great. And this was really, I was thrown into it, learning the ropes, and I was still quite timid and quite shy at 18. Now, it takes me back to a story where the manager there literally dragged me, not physically dragged me up to her office, because what you had to do in those days is I booked a holiday to Butlins for some customers, and you had to send a cheque to Butlins within 7 days of them booking. And I remember now I didn't realise that was my job to do that, and the booking had expired and the customers had no holiday. But we managed to reinstate it, and the manager at that point dragged me up to her office, and I was only 18, and she said, have you ever thought about doing a job in hairdressing? And if anybody was ever going to say something to you that would change the direction of how you worked at a young age, then that was it. I literally went home to my dad saying, I'm never going back into that shop again. I didn't like this woman, she was mean. And my dad was fuming. He said, I'm going to ring her up. I'll call her. And anyway, I did go back, but my card was marked. But it kind of gave me the determination. I always look back on that moment where somebody told me I wasn't good enough, for me to kind of really spur me on to prove that, yes, I am good enough. So as luck would have it, she was pregnant not long after and she left. So the assistant manager went to manager, and then I got a job as assistant manager at 19. Then the manager, she was pregnant. I think there was a dodgy chair, to be fair, everybody was getting pregnant. So the manager was pregnant, she left, and then I became store manager. And I was very young, I was 21 years of age, but it literally did stand me in good stead, because a year later I was asked to go and set up a new store at Going Places in Lee branch. Was I qualified enough at the age of 22? Who knows? But it really did give me the self-belief that you can do anything at any age. So shortly after I was manager, then I met a lovely Yorkshire man. So I met a Yorkshire man, so I moved from Lancashire over to Yorkshire to be with him, and we continued to have 2 children. So my passion for cruises started probably when I went on my first cruise. I started it at Going Places in the White Rose Centre after my daughter was born, and we sold a few cruise holidays, but then in 2008 I got the opportunity to go on my first cruise, and that was Ocean Village 2. A wonderful ship and my first experience of cruising. I'll never forget, James Martin had a restaurant on board, and it was the best steak pie I'd ever had in my life. It was amazing. But that kind of spurred me on to how amazing is this cruise experience. Other brands, of course, you had Air Tours with their new ships, First Choice, etc. And at that time, the cruise industry was really taking off. And I kind of wanted to spread the word even more. So a cruise account managers came into the store, talked to us about their brands, their ships. I even went from door to door to dentists, to doctors, giving them cruise deals. I went to a pub once, I had a word with a bar manager. I said, can you take your advertisement of a beer out of the photo frame? Can I put in a cruise deal instead? And I kind of took to the streets to spread the word, and it worked because we tripled the cruise business in 12 months. And on the back of that, I started going on more cruises, Princess, Hurtigruten, NCL, and I just couldn't get enough of this cruising experience. I just absolutely loved it. It was great. So then shortly after that, I was asked to be the regional cruise coordinator, and this was where somebody was appointed to kind of increase cruise business in 32 stores throughout the region, and basically to support and get the training in, because at that point the cruise industry was booming, but there wasn't enough training there, and that was my job until sadly in 2012 Going Places closed its doors for the very last time. So when the Going Places stores closed, I was looking for another job, and I spoke about cruise constantly. And a friend of mine, Simon, who worked at Hurtigruten at the time, he said, have you thought about working for a company called cruise.co.uk? I hadn't heard of them at that point, but they literally were a home working company that sold cruise holidays. And for me, that was like my dream job, where I could talk about cruise all day long. So in February 2013, I had an interview with cruise.co.uk, which was quite hilarious really, because Cheryl, one of the managers there, called me. It was a Wednesday afternoon to have my phone interview, and I was trying to be really professional and talk about my cruise experience. And I looked out of the bedroom window as I was talking, and I saw Buster had escaped, and he was running around the cul-de-sac. And I'm thinking, so I had to kind of try and mouth to the children, the dog's out, go get the dog, while I'm having this interview. Anyway, it was a lovely interview, and Buster was saved. And Cheryl rang me later on that evening and said, you've got the job on 2 conditions. So she said, 1 is we need you to write a blog, and 2 is you need to change your name. And that was alien to me, about changing my name. And she said, let us know tomorrow what you want to be called, because there is somebody in who works for us with your name already, and because we're a call centre, we only have 1 person with the same name. I didn't know at that time that this is a thing in the travel industry, in the cruise industry. It is a thing. So I had to change my name. So I thought, well, I need to change it to something that I will remember. So the only name that I could remember was my daughter's name, and my daughter is called Holly. So Holly Crabtree at cruise.co.uk was born, and my daughter, she laughs because she says she is the original Holly Crabtree and I'm just an imposter, which I guess I am, but I've been Holly Crabtree now for 10 years and it's stuck, and I am more Holly Crabtree than I am my real name, which is Beverly. But I'm called more Holly. So Holly is a name that I chose in 2013, and I've been Holly Crabtree ever since. What was my proudest moment? I guess my proudest moment was winning the 2 awards while I was a cruise specialist at cruise.co.uk. In 2014, I was very privileged to win Homework of the Year award, and then in 2016 I won Cruise Agent of the Year award. And when I spoke to the judges, they said one of the reasons why you won the award was because they'd seen the video of me in a hot tub. It was the middle of January and it was freezing. The hot tub wasn't, of course, but outside it was freezing, it was snowing. And my son Joey was filming me while I did a little video of why customers should book with me. And it was in the middle of January because that's peak time. But yeah, it was absolutely freezing. But social media was a big part of my job back then. It's even more so now. But yeah, I'm really privileged and I'm very, very grateful to winning those 2 awards. There is a few people that inspire me, but no more so than my children, Holly and Joe, the real Holly Crabtree. They inspire me every day. They've been my biggest supporters, not just at cruise.co and what I'm doing now, but from years back when I was at Going Places and juggling the job and being a full-time mum to them too. But I'm so proud of them and I'm so grateful for their support. Also the 2 other people, my mum and my dad, who sadly are no longer with us, but they again were so supportive. In fact, my mum used to say to the people in the care home, my daughter's on TV, and they used to say, which channel is she on? And she said, I'll find out for you. And I used to say, Mum, I'm not on TV, it's YouTube it's called, not TV. And she didn't know, but they were very supportive. In the industry, for the people that I've met that aren't family, there are 2 people that stand out. And one, I had the opportunity to spend the day with Ben Fogle back in 2014 and with Celebrity Cruises, and to sail with him on one of his boats. And he was incredible. We had dinner with him at Spitbank Fort in the evening, and I've seen him many, many times when he's been on cruises, and the stories that he tells. He inspires me every day of what he's achieved in his career. And most recently, I had the real pleasure of interviewing Joe Jamoska, previous Vice President of Celebrity Cruises. Now, she advocates being your true self. She's been the pioneer in diversity and inclusion. And talking to Joe last year really inspired me, and it really made me think about how I've been able to be my true self with the companies that I've worked with, and I continue to be my true self. And that is so, so important in any job. But she really is a true inspiration, and she really did make me think, and I was very grateful to be able to have that chat with Joe. So I am asked this question quite often about who is my favourite cruise line. Now listen, I'm passionate about the cruise industry, and I've been on apart from 3, I've been on every single brand, and I love being on any cruise ship and the experience that it gives me. But if somebody said to me, which they have, who is your favourite cruise line, then it's always been the same, and I would say it's Celebrity Cruises is my favourite. But saying that, they are my favourite cruise line, but I do have one particular ship that is my favourite ship. My heart is with this ship, and that is P&O Cruises Arvia. And that has come about because last year I was asked by P&O Cruises to be one of their 6 Arvia insiders, and that gave me so many incredible experiences regarding P&O Cruises Arvia. For example, I ended up cooking alongside Shivi Ramatar, who is one of her food heroes. I sampled and drank wine with Ollie Smith. I went to Jose Pizarro's restaurant in London and experienced his tapas. I literally sampled tidal rum. It's amazing experiences where it culminated into visiting Arvia at the shipyard. So I've been on her 3 times now. I'm about to do my 4th time on Arvia, and she is very, very special to me. Also, the best suite experience is MSC Yacht Club. I've never experienced a suite experience just like it. But those are kind of my 3 for very, very special reasons. But any cruise line, I am so grateful to go on, and I have wonderful experiences on any ship. I just love being on board. I think my favourite job in the whole 35 years was working for cruise.co.uk as a cruise specialist. I absolutely loved my time there, and I found my calling. Well, before going places I found my calling, but it just encouraged me, and I knew that cruise literally was for me. And the experiences I've had at cruise.co.uk have been incredible, from all the cruises that I've been really lucky to have been on, to going to Canada, experiencing Rocky Mountaineer. And one of my favourite trips was when I got the opportunity to escort 32 cruise.co.uk passengers around Japan. And that was amazing, a great experience, and we had an absolute ball. So definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, until now, my favourite job was working as a cruise specialist at cruise.co.uk. But of course now I hung up my sales boots in April 22 because I wanted to take my knowledge further, and I became a full-time cruise influencer or cruise blogger, which I absolutely love. I just think it was my 50th year. I don't say that very often, but it was my 50th year. The children are grown up, and I kind of think, well, it's my time now. And to have been given this amazing opportunity, I'm very grateful, and I'm absolutely so happy and love what I do. Have I got any regrets? Then no, I don't believe in having any regrets. Things happen for a reason, and I have absolutely loved the career that I've had. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not been easy. There's been some very challenging times throughout the last 35 years. I've found myself in the middle of some huge companies collapsing. For example, one was in the early 90s, Intersun, ILG. There's been some terrible tragedies as well that have affected the world and massively the travel industry. It's not easy being in this industry, but what it is it's rewarding. People don't do this job other than the fact they love what they do. and I am one of those. I love what I do, and it is so rewarding, and mainly because of the people that you meet along the way. I've met some amazing people, customers who I've talked to for hours on the phone who've now become friends, and also the colleagues as well, like colleagues when 25 years ago was still friends. And it is genuinely the people. It's like the travel industry is like a huge family. For example, I was on Azamara on Sunday, and I didn't know anybody there, and I walked in and I sat next to this lovely lady, and she knew some really good friends of mine, and she lived in Chester, and you always know somebody, you've always got that support. Being a cruise blogger as well, it's not easy. It comes with challenges. For me, more on a technical ability, and especially with the video editing and being a one-man band. But I absolutely love it. But if I can say anything to all of you that follow me, is thank you, because without you, I couldn't do this job. Your lovely comments and about what I do, your lovely comments about the YouTube videos that I put out, the lovely comments that say thank you, you've so helped us. There isn't a day go by that I get lovely comments, and that's when you kind of, even on your tough days, you know you're doing something right. So for all of you following me and supporting me, a huge thank you from me. So there we have it, my career, 35 years. It's been an absolute blast. Loved it. So thank you so much again for following me. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I've got another 35 years of YouTube videos that will be coming up for you to view. But it's been a blast. I love it, but it's to the next 35 years.